Have you ever felt that life was supposed to make more sense by now? That after decades of chasing success, relationships, and purpose, you should finally feel complete. Yet here you are, standing at the crossroads of 40, wondering why the finish line of happiness still seems so far away. But what if I told you that 40 isn't an ending? It's the beginning of true mastery. The world conditions us to believe that youth is the peak of life, that after 40, it's all about maintenance, decline, or settling for what is. But the Stoics teach us otherwise. Life truly begins when we stop chasing and start understanding. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." At 40, you are not aging, you are awakening. This is the decade where wisdom replaces confusion, resilience replaces anxiety, and self-mastery takes precedence over external validation. Are you ready to step into the most powerful chapter of your life? Let's explore how Stoicism can help you turn 40 into the decade of mastery. Number 1, mindset shift, the awakening at 40. Turning 40 is not just about aging, it's about awakening. It's the decade where the mind undergoes a radical shift, moving from chasing external validation to mastering internal peace. In your 20s and 30s, you likely measured success through status, wealth, or recognition. You spent years proving yourself, striving to meet expectations imposed by family, society, and even your younger, more ambitious self. But at 40, something changes. The need to impress fades, replaced by a deep desire for something more profound, clarity, purpose, and inner tranquility. At this stage, you begin to understand what truly matters. Success is no longer defined by the things you own, but by the weight you've learned to let go of. The opinions of others, once a source of pressure, become insignificant. The race to achieve is no longer about competition, but about alignment with your values, priorities, and sense of fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius captured this transformation perfectly. Stop arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In youth, we spend an excessive amount of time justifying our worth, arguing, proving, and chasing admiration. But by 40, the wisest among us realize that self-worth is not something to be debated or flaunted. It is something to be lived. A person who is truly at peace no longer seeks validation. Instead, they radiate quiet confidence, needing no approval but their own. This is where Stoicism becomes a guiding force. The Stoics teach us to detach from societal expectations and redefine our priorities. Instead of living according to external pressures, we begin to live by our own principles. Epictetus famously said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." At 40, this wisdom resonates more deeply than ever. You no longer exhaust yourself over things beyond your control, people's opinions, past failures, or the unpredictable turns of life. Instead, you cultivate inner mastery, focusing only on what truly belongs to you, your thoughts, your choices, and your response to the world around you. This shift is liberating. Imagine walking into a room and no longer wondering, "Do they like me?" Instead, asking, "Do I even like being here?" Imagine making decisions not out of obligation, but because they genuinely align with your values. At 40, you reclaim this power, the power to define success on your own terms. Here's the challenge. Are you still living according to other people's expectations? Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever found yourself pursuing something not because you wanted it, but because you felt you should want it. Maybe it was a career that looked impressive on paper, but drained you emotionally. Maybe it was a lifestyle curated for admiration rather than authenticity. If you've ever felt trapped by the need to conform, this is the decade to break free. Now ask yourself, are you living according to your own values, or are you still trapped in the expectations of others? What would change in your life if you stopped seeking approval and started seeking alignment instead? This is where life truly begins, when you stop chasing and start choosing. The question is, are you ready to make that shift? Number 2, acceptance and adaptability, the key to true freedom. By the time you reach 40, one undeniable truth emerges. Resistance is exhausting, but acceptance is liberating. The ability to adapt, to embrace change rather than fight it, is what separates those who remain stuck in the past from those who thrive in the present. Life at 40 is not about clinging to what was. It's about mastering the art of flow, of responding to life with wisdom rather than resistance. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, captured this perfectly. Some things are up to us and some things are not. For much of our lives, we waste energy fighting battles we were never meant to win, trying to change people, control outcomes, or reverse time itself. But at 40, the most powerful realization dawns. Peace comes from knowing what is yours to change and what is yours to accept. Think about it. How many moments of frustration in your life have come from trying to control the uncontrollable? How often have you resisted change, aging, or circumstances beyond your reach, only to find that your sufferings came not from the event itself, but from your refusal to accept it? The truth is, change is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means choosing where to place your energy wisely. A person who understands this no longer asks, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead, "What can I learn from this?" This simple shift in mindset turns obstacles into teachers, setbacks into stepping stones, and uncertainty into a path for growth. Consider this. At 40, you may no longer have the boundless energy of your 20s, but you have something far more valuable: experience, resilience, and the ability to make decisions that align with who you truly are. Instead of chasing youth, you embrace maturity. Instead of fearing change, you adapt and evolve. Instead of clinging to outdated identities, you redefine yourself on your own terms. Aging is often framed as a decline, but what if it is actually an ascension? What if every wrinkle, every lesson, and every challenge has been preparing you for a life of clarity and mastery? The Stoics understood this well. The more you resist the natural course of life, the more you suffer. The moment you accept that time will move forward, that people will change, and that challenges will arise, you stop feeling like a victim and start feeling like a master of your own fate. Now let's talk about the biggest shift of all: adapting to life's uncertainties with grace. Life will not go as planned. Relationships will evolve. Careers will take unexpected turns, and losses will come. But resilience is not about avoiding hardships. It's about knowing that you can handle them. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." At 40, you no longer see difficulties as personal attacks. You see them as training for a stronger, wiser self. You stop wasting energy on regret, on what could have been, and instead channel it into what can be done now. You move forward, not because life has been easy, but because you've learned you can handle anything that comes your way. Now here's a challenge for you. From this moment forward, stop complaining about what you cannot change. Instead, ask yourself, what action can I take today? Drop a comment below. I choose action over resistance. Because at 40, the question is no longer, how do I stop time? But rather, how do I make the most of the time I have? Number 3, self-mastery, the art of becoming your strongest self. At 40, life is no longer about trial and error. It's about refinement and mastery. This is the decade where you stop experimenting with who you are and start optimizing everything about yourself. It's the time when distractions lose their grip, external validation becomes meaningless, and you finally understand that the greatest battle is not against the world, but against your own impulses, habits, and emotions. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that for a moment. How much of your life has been dictated by knee-jerk reactions, unchecked emotions, or external expectations? How many times have you allowed anger, insecurity, or momentary pleasure to dictate your decisions? True freedom is not found in wealth, status, or recognition. It is found in self-control. By 40, you start realizing that the biggest obstacles to your success are internal. The distractions that once consumed you, pointless arguments, mindless social media scrolling, toxic comparisons, are no longer worth your energy. The Stoics understood this well. A disciplined mind leads to a disciplined life. The more control you have over your impulses, the more control you have over your destiny. And let's talk about habits, the invisible architects of your future. At 20, you could afford to be reckless. At 30, you could still course correct. But at 40, your habits have either built you into a strong, focused individual or trapped you in a cycle of mediocrity. The time for indulging weaknesses is over. Now is the time to cut off what weakens you and double down on what strengthens you. Do you find yourself doom scrolling through social media, wasting hours consuming information that does nothing to improve your life? Do you still let people's opinions dictate your decisions? Do you spend money thoughtlessly, chasing temporary satisfaction instead of long-term stability? The truth is, self-mastery is not about extreme discipline. It's about making better choices consistently. At 40, discipline should no longer feel like a restriction. It should feel like a privilege. The ability to wake up early, to train your body, to protect your mind from useless noise, to choose your words carefully, to resist impulses, to walk away from negativity. This is what true power looks like. This is what true freedom feels like. And yet, so many people at this stage remain trapped, not because they lack the ability, but because they lack the commitment to master themselves. They keep letting their emotions dictate their actions instead of acting based on their values. They keep waiting for motivation instead of relying on discipline. They keep allowing bad habits to persist rather than cutting them off like a surgeon removes a disease. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, lived by this principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So here's the question: what still controls you that you should be controlling? Is it your emotions, your distractions, your cravings, or your fear of judgment? Take a moment to reflect, because at 40, the only thing standing between you and mastery is your own willingness to take command of yourself. Your challenge starting today: identify one habit that is weakening you and eliminate it. It could be procrastination, excessive social media use, poor spending habits, or uncontrolled emotions. Whatever it is, take the first step now. Drop a comment below. I choose self-mastery. Because at 40, the goal is no longer to find yourself. It is to master yourself. Number 4, time perspective. Mastering the only resource you can never get back. At 40, a powerful realization sets in. Time is no longer infinite. It is not something you can afford to waste, delay, or treat carelessly. Unlike money, relationships, or status, time is the one resource that once spent is gone forever. Think back to your 20s. Time felt abundant. Mistakes could be undone, detours could be taken, and opportunities seemed limitless. In your 30s, the balancing act between ambition and responsibility began. Career, family, and societal expectations all competing for your energy. But at 40, something shifts. You stop treating time as something that just happens and start seeing it for what it truly is, your most valuable asset. The greatest mistake people make is assuming they have more time than they do. But the Stoics knew the truth. We are all living on borrowed time. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't meant to create fear. It's meant to create focus. When you internalize the truth that your days are finite, life does not become darker, it becomes sharper. You begin to see what truly matters. At 40, time is no longer just passing, it is running. And how you choose to use it will define the decades ahead. Take a moment to reflect. Where does most of your time go? Are you caught up in endless scrolling, overanalyzing things beyond your control, or seeking approval from people who add no value to your life? The truth is, the biggest thief of time is not obligations. It is a lack of clarity. When you were younger, saying yes was easy. Every invitation, every opportunity, every favor seemed like a chance to prove yourself. But at 40, the most powerful skill you can develop is the ability to say no without guilt. No to distractions. No to toxic people. No to anything that does not contribute to your growth. Because every time you say yes to something meaningless, you are saying no to something that could truly change your life. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned against the illusion of time abundance when he wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." Most people fear aging, fear failure, and fear missing out, yet they act as if they have forever to build the life they want. They delay what matters, assuming there will always be time. But life does not wait. You either prioritize what truly matters today, or you will regret it tomorrow. By 40, you should start looking at time the way an investor looks at money. Every hour you spend is an investment, either towards something meaningful or toward nothing at all. The key is intentionality. Every decision about how you spend your time should be deliberate, not reactive. Just as a wise investor allocates resources toward high-value returns, you must consciously choose where your time goes, focusing on what adds real value and eliminating what doesn't. Taking back control of your time begins with brutal honesty. Where are your hours truly going? It's easy to feel busy, yet accomplish little. The first step is to audit your time. Identify 3 things that consistently consume your energy but add no real value to your life. Are you mindlessly scrolling through social media, attending unnecessary meetings, or overcommitting to obligations that leave you drained? Write them down. Awareness is the foundation of change. Until you recognize where your time is slipping away, you cannot reclaim it. Once you have clarity, the next step is to eliminate distractions without hesitation. The most successful people are not just disciplined in their work, they are fiercely protective of their time. Cut out anything that does not serve your growth. Unsubscribe from mindless content that clutters your focus. Walk away from conversations that drain you instead of enriching you. Above all, protect your solitude. It is in moments of stillness that you gain the clarity needed to make decisions that shape your future. Finally, the most important shift you can make is to live with urgency. The perfect moment does not exist. Too many people spend years waiting for the right opportunity, for motivation, or for permission. But time waits for no one. Motivation comes through action, not before it. Validation is an illusion. You do not need anyone's approval to pursue what matters to you. The greatest regret people carry is not using their time wisely. Make a decision today to stop waiting. Prioritize what truly matters, cut what doesn't, and own every hour you have left. Right now, write down 3 things you are wasting time on and eliminate them. Make a decision today that your time is no longer something you just spend. It is something you create. If you are ready to take control of your time, drop a comment below. I own my time. Because at 40, the most powerful thing you can do is stop spending time and start using it. Number 5, emotional intelligence. By the time you reach 40, you realize that success is not measured by wealth, status, or external achievements. It is measured by how well you control yourself. Mastery over emotions is the highest form of strength, far surpassing any professional accomplishment or financial gain. The ability to remain calm when provoked, composed under stress, and unaffected by unnecessary drama is what sets apart those who truly live with wisdom from those who are simply reacting to life. Too often, people allow external events and other people's opinions to dictate how they feel. They give away their power by letting circumstances beyond their control dictate their moods, reactions, and sense of peace. Seneca warned against this self-imposed suffering when he wrote, "He who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary." Most of the pain people experience is not caused by reality itself, but by the unnecessary fears, worries, and emotional overreactions they allow to consume them. Imagine 2 individuals facing the same situation. A colleague at work criticizes them unfairly. The first person, emotionally reactive, feels offended, spends hours replaying the event in their mind, crafting arguments they wish they had said, and perhaps even complaining to others. Their entire day is ruined, all because they allowed someone else's words to dictate their emotional state. The second person, however, pauses before reacting. They recognize that the colleague's words are a reflection of the colleague's insecurities, not a measure of their own worth. Instead of engaging in pointless conflict, they maintain their composure, choose silence, and move forward without carrying the burden of someone else's negativity. The difference? Emotional intelligence, the ability to differentiate between what is worth your energy and what is merely noise. Not everyone deserves a reaction from you. Not every conflict requires your participation, and certainly not every criticism needs to be taken to heart. By 40, the most powerful skill you can develop is knowing when to engage and when to walk away, when to speak and when to remain silent. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, practiced this discipline daily. As Emperor of Rome, he faced endless criticism, opposition, and betrayal. Yet his journal, Meditations, reveals a man who never allowed external chaos to disturb his inner peace. He reminded himself constantly, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His wisdom teaches us that our emotions are not controlled by others unless we allow them to be. One of the biggest emotional traps people fall into is the need for validation. At 40, you no longer have time to waste seeking approval from people who do not walk your path. You no longer need to prove yourself to others. The only validation that matters is the one that comes from within. Those who chase external approval remain prisoners to the opinions of others, while those who cultivate self-assurance free themselves from this invisible chain. Think about your own life. How often do you let someone's words, attitudes, or opinions alter your emotional state? Do you find yourself overthinking situations that do not deserve your energy? Do you engage in arguments that add no real value to your life? If so, take a moment to reflect. Who or what is controlling your emotions? The truth is, you decide how much power someone else has over you. If a single comment can ruin your day, it is not the comment that is powerful. It is your reaction to it. But here's the good news. You can reclaim that power. You can decide, starting today, to stop suffering over things that do not matter. You can train yourself to respond instead of react, to observe instead of absorb. This is not about suppressing emotions. It is about mastering them. When you master your emotions, you master your life. You become unshakable, untouchable, immune to the petty distractions that consume most people. You gain clarity, focus, and an inner peace that is rare in a world driven by impulsiveness and overreaction. So here's your challenge. The next time something triggers an emotional reaction in you, pause. Do not respond immediately. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, address it with wisdom, not impulse. If you are ready to stop letting external forces control your emotions and start taking full ownership of your inner peace, drop a comment below. I choose to master my emotions, not let them master me. Because at 40, the greatest success is not found in what you own. It is found in what you refuse to let own you. Number 6, resilience, the power of bouncing back. Emotional intelligence teaches you how to control your reactions, but resilience teaches you how to rise after every fall. These two forces are inseparable. Without resilience, emotional control is hollow because life will test you, no matter how strong you think you are. The true measure of a person is not how they perform when things go smoothly, but how they respond when life throws them into chaos. By 40, you've learned that resilience is not just a survival skill, it's the foundation of personal strength. Adversity is inevitable. The job you thought was secure suddenly vanishes. A relationship you believed would last forever falls apart. A dream you worked toward for years fails to materialize. These are the moments that define you. Some people allow setbacks to break them, retreating into self-pity, blaming the world, or surrendering to despair. Others, however, use pain as fuel. They take failures and turn them into wisdom. They take rejections and turn them into redirections. They take loss and use it to sharpen their perspective on what truly matters. This is why the Stoics valued resilience above all else. Epictetus, who was born a slave and later became one of the greatest philosophers of all time, understood suffering intimately, yet he never saw hardship as an excuse. He once said, It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. To him, misfortune was not a reason to stop. It was an invitation to grow stronger. You cannot control the obstacles that come your way, but you can always control how you respond to them. Think back to the most challenging moment in your life. Perhaps it was a financial setback, a personal betrayal, or an unexpected loss. In that moment, you may have felt like the world was collapsing around you. But look at yourself now. You survived. More than that, you learned, you grew, and you became wiser. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It is about refusing to let hardship define you. Every struggle has given you something: clarity, strength, or a deeper understanding of life. The scars you carry are not signs of weakness, but of battles won. One of the biggest mindset shifts at 40 is understanding that resilience is not about being unbreakable. It's about being adaptable. People often believe that strength means never bending, never showing weakness, never falling. But the strongest people are not rigid. They are flexible. They know when to push forward and when to step back. They know when to fight and when to let go. They understand that sometimes the best way to endure a storm is not to resist it, but to move with it. The Japanese have a concept called kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Instead of hiding cracks, they highlight them, making the object even more beautiful than before. This is what resilience does for the human spirit. Your struggles, your hardships, your losses, they do not diminish you. They refine you. They make you more valuable, not less. By 40, you stop fearing failure because you understand its purpose. Failure is not a dead end. It is a teacher. It strips away illusions, forces you to grow, and prepares you for what comes next. Every failure you have faced has given you an advantage, a lesson, a new perspective, or an unexpected opportunity. The only real failure is allowing difficulties to make you bitter instead of better. Now, ask yourself, are you letting past failures hold you back? Are you carrying wounds that should have been turned into wisdom? Are you allowing fear of hardship to stop you from taking risks? If so, it's time to reframe the way you see adversity. Life is not about avoiding hardship. It's about learning how to thrive despite it. Here's your challenge. The next time life knocks you down, pause before you react. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Shift your mindset from victimhood to growth. Turn every setback into a stepping stone. Let your struggles shape you, not shatter you. If you are ready to embrace resilience and use every challenge as fuel for growth, drop a comment below. I rise stronger every time, because at 40, you no longer break under pressure, you become stronger because of it. Here is your refined text with improved flow, structure, and clarity. Number 7, yearning for growth, the fire that never dies. Resilience keeps you standing after life storms, but growth propels you forward. At 40, the hunger for growth takes on a new form, less about proving yourself and more about fulfilling your true potential. If your 20s were about ambition and chasing external success, and your 30s were about learning balance, then your 40s are about mastery. This is the decade where personal growth is no longer an option, it is a necessity. One of the greatest misconceptions is that personal growth slows down with age. Society tells us that our most creative, energetic, and ambitious years belong to our youth. The Stoics would disagree. To them, wisdom is the highest form of achievement, and wisdom can only come with experience. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live. At 40, you begin to see growth not as a race, but as a lifelong journey, one that never truly ends. Think about the most inspiring figures in history. Many of them reached their greatest achievements not in their youth, but in the later decades of their lives. Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s. Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa at 76. Leonardo da Vinci created some of his greatest works well into his 50s. The common thread: they never stopped growing. They never saw age as a limitation, only as proof that they had gathered the experience necessary to make an impact. Growth at 40 is not just about career success. It's about deepening your understanding of yourself and the world. It's about becoming a better thinker, a better decision maker, and a better human being. It's about embracing change instead of resisting it. Too many people reach their 40s and believe they are settled into who they are. They stop challenging themselves, pushing their limits, and taking risks. But the truth is, the moment you stop growing is the moment you start dying. Ask yourself, are you still learning? Are you setting new challenges for yourself? Are you expanding your skills, knowledge, and mindset? Or have you fallen into the trap of routine, where every day looks the same as the last? The difference between those who thrive at 40 and those who decline is simple. The ones who keep growing stay alive in every sense of the word. Growth requires discomfort. The greatest enemy of growth is comfort. Growth demands stepping into the unknown, facing new challenges, and embracing failure as part of the process. Marcus Aurelius understood this well when he wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Obstacles are not meant to stop you. They are meant to shape you. When you reach your 40s, the challenges may be different, but the principle remains the same. The only way forward is through. The key to sustaining growth: curiosity. The moment you believe you've learned all there is to know, you've lost. The world is constantly evolving, and so should you. Read books that challenge your thinking. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. Develop new skills, not because you have to, but because you can. Take up a new hobby. Start a new project. Engage in deep conversations that expand your mind. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Letting go to grow. Sometimes growth isn't about adding more. It's about letting go of limiting beliefs, outdated perspectives, and fears that have held you back for too long. Ask yourself, what is one thing you have been avoiding because it makes you uncomfortable? What is one dream you have pushed aside because you thought it was too late? What is stopping you from taking the next step? The answer is never time or age. It's mindset. Your challenge: do one thing this week that pushes you beyond your comfort zone. Read a book outside your usual genre. Try something new that challenges your mind or body. Have a conversation with someone who thinks differently from you. Commit to lifelong learning, because growth is not just for the young, it is for the wise. At 40, life is just beginning. Turning 40 is not an ending. It is the beginning of a new chapter filled with wisdom, strength, and an unshakable sense of self. It is the decade where you stop chasing approval and start living authentically. The pressures of youth fade, replaced by clarity. The need to prove yourself disappears, making room for mastery. At 40, you finally realize that the greatest achievement is not external success. It is inner peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That is the essence of this decade. You no longer debate, justify, or seek validation. You simply become. You focus on what truly matters, your growth, your relationships, and your purpose. This is not a restart. It is an awakening, a transformation into a version of yourself that is more grounded, intentional, and powerful than ever before. Now, I have a question for you. Do you believe life truly begins at 40? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a conversation about what this decade means to you. If this message inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning of your journey toward living with purpose and power. Stay tuned for more, and let's make 40 the decade of mastery.